Welcome. Welcome to the Art of Artist Mentorship, turning your experience into impact and income. I love that title. To tell you the truth, I got it from AI, but I promise you, everything else that I share with you today is going to be coming straight from my heart because I love my job. I love mentoring artists. And if you think that you might love mentoring artists too, I'd love to help you make that happen. So today I'm going to speak about artist mentorship. You might want to take notes. And at the end, I'm going to tell you about my latest project, the Artist Mentorship Lab. More on that later, I promise. If you don't know me, my name is Krista Cloutier. I'm from The Working Artist, and I'm hosting this gathering from my kitchen in my little farmhouse in Provence. Thank you, Internet. Even before the internet, I was doing this kind of work. I've spent my whole career helping other artists to grow and to thrive in whatever ways they needed. And what I've discovered is that this is a profoundly powerful way to grow and thrive as an artist yourself. Now, some of you might already know my story. I am the result of a series of mentors. Here's the truth about me. Before I went to college to study art, I was going nowhere fast. I was an addict. I had been homeless. And that's when I met Professor Bill J., my first mentor. Bill was the one who talked me into trusting that voice to study art. He inspired me to change my evil ways and apply myself to school all the way through a master's degree. When I graduated, I didn't know anything about how to work as an artist. Bill helped me to get an internship. I would be assisting the sales manager at a fine art studio, one that happened to have a national reputation for the quality of their work and the artists who worked with them. The studio was owned by a man named Joe Segura, who would become my second mentor. Joe worked as a full-time professor in the university art department, but the studio, the art studio, continued to grow. He just couldn't run it anymore. So he had hired my boss as the sales manager. Well, right after I got hired, there was a bit of drama, and Joe had to fire my boss. And now he needed a new sales manager. And he looked around, and the first person he saw was me, the intern. So Joe taught me everything he knew about the art business, which was a lot. Let me just say, without being braggy, that the files we kept at that studio are now housed in the Archives of American Art at the Smithsonian Institute. Joe really did know his stuff. So I learned everything that Joe could teach me. And within a year, I was director of the company. As my mentor, Joe was a wealth of information. I asked him questions every single day. I also learned a lot about wisdom and patience because he wisely and patiently taught me everything he could and wisely and patiently pushed me into the world in ways that really helped me to grow. When the university began sending me their art students to work as my interns, well, this is where my own mentoring practice really began. I've always loved working with artists. To me, it's work that's fun, and that's the best kind of work. On my first day of college, Bill J. had said, "I'm your mentor, Krista, and I'm always going to be here for you. But one day, you're probably going to need to move beyond me and what I can teach you. It's possible that you're going to find a reason to be angry or disappointed in me so that you can make that move. It's perfectly normal in a mentorship relationship, and I won't take it personally. I'm always here for you." He was such a good mentor. I never did get angry with Bill or want to move beyond him. But after 12 years of directing the studio, my work there felt over. I learned what I needed from Joe and I moved on. Most artists make a lot of art before they sell it. I had sold a lot of art, but now it was time for me to start making it. And I wanted to start with my life. So I moved to Europe. I moved to France for a year and then I met a guy and I fell in love and I moved to England. Once I got there, I needed to get a job, but I didn't know anyone. I wasn't sure how to break in. So I called Bill J. He's still my mentor. But when I went to call him, I heard the news that he had passed away. And I was devastated. And I knew that hundreds of other artists were too, because he'd had such a massive impact on so many of us. Artist mentorship isn't new. Well, I decided to pick up Bill's mantle. I decided to stop looking for jobs and to start sharing my knowledge with other artists and supporting their journeys. My work gives me an opportunity to continue Bill's legacy. So I created a workshop and I called it The Working Artist. I taught it all over England, and soon the art schools were inviting me to mentor their students. And then that led to invitations to teach in Europe and then South Africa and of course the United States. With each workshop that I led, I discovered something remarkable. The art world is only one world. The challenges, the dreams, the potential of artists are universal. The art market is kind of one world too. It plays by the same rules. It's not that complicated. But the real breakthrough came when I took my mentoring practice online, because suddenly I was connecting with artists all over the world. And today I've created a global community of artists. So the secret perk about this work is that mentorship is a two-way street. Almost every time I share something with another artist, it's coming directly from my own diary, my own challenges, my own experience. And the more I do it, the more I embody these lessons more deeply myself. I'm constantly learning through teaching. I'm growing through giving. And I'm lucky enough to be recognized and rewarded for this work. I'm lucky in so many ways. So today, I want to share with you some of my ideas about artist mentorship. First, I'm going to show some real examples of artist transformations. I want to talk about the current state of the artist mentorship world, what I think are the core elements of artist mentorship, and I want to tell you how you can begin your own mentoring journey too, what you need to do to get started. So to begin, I'm going to share a few stories that illustrate the impact that mentorship and coaching can have on an artist. And I want to start with an artist named Wayne. When Wayne first came to work with me, he was a skilled metal worker. He had 40 years of experience creating incredible architectural pieces. But despite his extensive work and expertise, Wayne wouldn't call himself an artist. I remember reading an interview with him in Lux magazine, and they asked if he was an artist, and he said that he designs and builds things. He deflected the question altogether. But he wanted to be an artist, so that's why he hired me. And during our time together, I told Wayne, you aren't an emerging artist. You're already a mid-career artist, and you've just changed direction. Wayne told me that this little perspective shift transformed everything for him. From that moment on, he embraced his identity as a sculptor. He got his first solo museum show right away. He's now featured in Architectural Digest as an artist. And his resume includes collections from Colorado to Saudi Arabia. It's about looking and listening and making connections, not being afraid to share what you know. And the more you do this work, the more you know. Another artist I worked with is named Helen. Helen's a successful psychologist, and when we spoke, she was feeling torn between her clinical practice and her creative and artistic ambitions. She saw them as competing forces, and she worked really hard to try to balance them, but as two separate entities. I helped Helen see that her two paths could actually enrich one another. Instead of viewing her dual roles as a conflict, I showed her how sharing her artwork and this part of her identity with her patients could enhance their own healing journey. We spoke a lot about healing and art and wounds. Helen's art career has exploded. She now creates public art. One of her latest projects brings communities together to process historical trauma through art. She successfully is melding her psychological practice with public art installations to heal cultural wounds. Isn't that great? She's also returned to drumming for the first time since school, and she's joined a band. She's the coolest artist. When we coach people, we make the path more clear, which makes it more easy. And we give them permission to be themselves and to really shine. Sometimes all somebody needs is that permission. Deborah is another artist who hired me because she felt disappointed in her art career. She wasn't producing as much work as she thought she should, and she wasn't going off after opportunities to sell it. She was really frustrated. But after working with her for just a little while, I was able to see that Deborah's whole life is a work of art. She lives in a medieval castle that she and her husband are slowly renovating. She sails all over the world and has amazing adventures. She jumps horses and flies planes. She's trained with the New York Fire Department. Her dinner parties are talked about for years afterward. And I was able to help Deborah see that she didn't have the need financially or psychologically to have her art validated by the market. And that's okay, because everything she does feeds the artist within. Not all art has to be a commodity. It does need to be seen, to communicate, but money doesn't get to decide if you're an artist. You do. Laura is another artist I worked with. She'd tried different creative paths. When I met her, she was making really beautiful art from exotic leathers, but she felt like something was missing. She couldn't see her brand or message very clearly, and she wasn't able to connect with an audience. Laura mentioned to me that she used invasive species leather to make her new body of work. And that's when I recognized the environmental significance of it. At first, she was resistant. She was afraid of capitalizing on a real world problem. But I helped her craft a message and brand that felt really true to her and authentic to her values. And today, Laura is known as the world's first invasive species artist. How cool is that? Her work has earned recognition from the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center, and her work creates powerful environmental statements while making the world a more beautiful place. And I'm so proud of her. There are 1,000 stories like that, and each one is also completely unique. That's the beauty of working with artists. Now, when I talk about mentorship, I'm not excluding coaching. If you and I were to meet at a cocktail party, I would probably introduce myself as an artist coach. See? I even wear the hat. But I stayed away from that word for years and years because it made me feel like I should be wearing a whistle around my neck or something. Oh my God. I am. Well, it's not really a whistle. It looks like a whistle. It's a vessel. And it opens up and I can put words in there. So I write my hopes and dreams and the hopes and dreams of my friends, and yes, even my clients, and then I wear them close to me. So, not a whistle per se, but close enough, I guess. Anyway, the reason I didn't like the word coaching back then was because I thought I would have to keep people accountable. Like, did you do that Instagram post today? I didn't want to be people's mother. I didn't want to work with anyone who wasn't willing to do the work themselves. But it turns out that this has never, ever been a problem. I have found that the artists who are willing to invest in themselves are really open to change and growth. They want to succeed. They just need help getting there. Let me ask you something. Thinking back to those stories of Wayne, of Helen, Deborah, Laura, what kind of skills do you think an art mentor would need in these situations? Can you recognize that seeing and listening and drawing connections is a big part of successful mentorship? Raise your hand if you feel like you've already got these skills honed, which would be fantastic. And raise your hand if you'd like to work more on these skills. I want to talk about the current state of the artist mentorship world right now, because I don't know if you saw it, but I recently read a New York Times article that spoke about the explosion of artist coaching. I'm not the only one doing this work. I think it's super encouraging to see more support becoming available for artists. But there's a concerning trend. Many of these coaches, while they might be well-intentioned, they lack experience in the art world or have any real understanding of what it is to be an artist or to guide someone in the creative field. I got an email recently from a woman who told me that she wants to be a coach and she thinks that there's too many life coaches out there and she doesn't want to be a business coach. So she's decided she's going to niche down. And she asked if I thought art was a lucrative niche. A lucrative niche. Now, I'm of the belief that both art and mentorship are callings, they're vocations. It's sacred to me. It's not a lucrative niche to be exploited. Maybe I'm being a snob, but artists are easily exploited. They need mentors who understand the creative journey. And this is especially true since the collapse of the gallery model. It used to be that you would sign with a great gallery and they would mentor you and manage you. But that's just not true anymore. Today, artists need to find guides who can see their unique potential and help them to claim it, who can navigate them through the choices of living and working as an artist with confidence, who can show them how to balance creative authenticity with professional success, because it is possible. Raise your hand if you've had at least one good mentor in your life. Through all these years of working with artists all over the world, I have been able to identify what I think are four core elements that make mentorship or coaching truly powerful. The first is the power of deep listening. Do you remember Wayne's story? His breakthrough didn't come from me telling him to follow my cookie cutter strategy. It came from truly listening to his journey and reflecting back what he couldn't yet see in himself. This is a skill I honed well over the years. It's what I call artistic listening, hearing not just the words, but the dreams and the fears beneath them. It seems like such a little thing, but it's everything. The second core element is connection. When Helen brought her art into her psychology practice. It wasn't about hanging paintings in her office. It was about recognizing the deep connections between different parts of her life and helping her patients see those connections too. Now, the whole purpose of her practice is connection. As mentors, we help artists to discover meaningful connections in their work and their lives. The importance of connections, it can't be overstated. When you can connect different parts of the artist's life, their medium, their passions, their experience, and leverage them into creating a complete picture, that's where the biggest aha moments come from. And as artists and mentors, aha moments are the drug that we are all trying to chase, right? Thank you, Bill Che, for turning me on to this drug. The third core element is thinking outside the box. Remember Deborah and her fears that she wasn't a real artist because she wasn't following a traditional commercial path? But I could see that Deborah was a huge talent who brought art into every facet of her life. It didn't need to be defined by something with a price tag on it. That's one path for an artist, but the world is so much bigger than that. And Deborah has every right to call herself an artist. The fourth core element is what I call the mirror of transformation. And let's go back to Laura's story, her journey of becoming the world's first invasive species artist. That shows us that sometimes the biggest transformations come from having someone who believes in your vision even before you can fully see it yourself. As mentors, we hold that vision until our artists are ready to claim it. They might get angry, resistant, defensive. That's okay. It's okay. They always come around. Remember, mentoring is a sacred art, especially when you're working with creators. Well, what about you? Could you see how this work, the work of changing lives of artists, could feel sacred? Then let's talk about how you can create a mentoring practice that serves both other artists and your own creative journey. I learned this through experience, like I said, when I was selling out, because I had lost touch with my own creativity. But today, I feel like my mentoring practice enhances my creativity. So I wanted to share the practices that work for me. The first is that I create sacred space. You've got to set clear boundaries that protect your creative time. Design a schedule that allows for mentoring and making. Maybe not every day, but remembering that it's a dance. And yes, when I was building my coaching business, I put my creativity into the marketing. You don't always have to be producing cool stuff in the studio. Creativity takes whatever form it needs to be when you do this work. The second practice is that I try to lead from experience. I think it's really important not to teach from up there on high, like the great genius that you are, because those are the people who fall down. So it's okay to share your real struggles and your real successes. And it's okay to be real and vulnerable. I struggle all the time with my own work. And if you don't believe me, just watch the videos I put on social media. You think I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself. I'm working through my own creative and professional issues. I get to work as a mentor, but I still keep it real because this allows me to grow. And also, you know how they talk about the importance of story in your marketing? That's where this comes in. It's about being authentic and telling the truth. And speaking of authenticity, a good mentor builds authentic connection. It's about creating safe spaces for vulnerability. It's about seeing your clients as dear friends. And it's about nurturing community amongst your artists, your mentees. Now, when I started, I wasn't sure if I was ready to be an artist coach. I wasn't sure if I knew enough. No one gave me permission. I was stopped by fear for about 5 minutes, but then I did it anyway because I needed the money. But it works. And I'm living this work alongside my clients. We're all artists. That's what makes mentorship authentic. We're not presenting ourselves as perfect experts or geniuses, but as guides on a shared journey where we each have a unique vantage point. Now, maybe you don't have the arts marketing background that I have, but if you can own your own experiences, you can share them. They're valuable. So I'm going to give you some tips to get started, okay? The first is to document your own art journey. Be keeping a journal. Keep track of what kind of insights are unique to you. What are you learning on your journey? Write it down. And create safe spaces too, where you can share with other people. Be a safe space. Offer that to other people so that they feel comfortable opening up with you. And build genuine connections in your art community, both online and in person. I can't speak highly enough about working in groups. Raise your hand if you think that sounds doable. Okay. Next, I want to talk about money. When the economy takes a turn downward, we all know that it's the arts who suffer first and it's the arts who recover last, right? I remember when I began my work as an art dealer, I was petrified each time there was talk of a recession. But my mentor, Joe, taught me that recessions offer unique opportunities. They offer opportunities to do things differently. They offer opportunities to build new kinds of foundations, to develop new bodies of work or new connections or new streams of income. And that's what artist mentoring can be. So if this sounds like something you might want to do, I think this is a great time to start and I can help. Is it okay if I tell you about the Artist Mentorship Lab now? I've been working on this project for quite a while, and I think it'd be safe to say that I'm a little bit obsessed. I think it's the coolest thing I've ever made. It's for those of you who feel called to do this kind of work. Like I said, it's called the Artist Mentorship Lab, and it will be a cohort of creative people like you who want to learn how to become art mentors and coaches. And if you work with me in the lab, you're going to develop your own unique mentoring style. You're going to build practical skills for supporting other artists. You're going to learn how to create a sustainable coaching practice. And the best part is that you will be mentored as an artist as you learn to mentor other artists. This is a virtuous circle, and it's going to be so much fun. We're going to be meeting on Sundays at 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. I've got it on my website how that breaks down. I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. I'm pretty sure. You will have two one-on-one sessions with me. The first is going to be at the start of the program, and the second one is going to be at the end of the program. And that way, you and I can really dial into your personal journey and create a path just for you. So after the 10 weeks, you can hit the ground running with your own practice. This is the first time that I'm offering this program, and I'm looking for artists who feel called to this sacred work. So if what I shared today resonates with you, please visit my website. It's on this page, probably down there. This program isn't going to be like anything else I've ever offered before. It's very special. It's quite ambitious. When I do offer it next again, the regular price is going to be $5,000, and it's worth it. But because this is the beta group and it's the first time I'm sharing it, I've created a special price of $24.97 for this first cohort only. It's the same program, half price. And this is not a price that I'll be able to offer again. And for those of you who made it this far, I know that you're the kind of person who might be feeling called to this work too. So I'm offering you another discount, a special discount code. If you use the code MENTOR, you can apply that to the discounted price for another 10% off. Write this down if you can. MENTOR, MENTOR is the code. That's the one you use if you want to pay all at once. I also have a 6-month payment plan, and you can use the code MENTOR6 if you want to apply the discount to the payment plan. MENTOR 6, all one thing. It's a number 6. So it's Mentor for the discounted pay all at once, or Mentor 6 for the discount on the payment plan. I hope that's clear. I do want to say one last thing about mentorship and coaching. I believe that it's helpful that artists who coach others do the work on themselves first, that they go into their own self-expression and liberate themselves before they start helping others. I don't know if you read the book, The Artist's Way. It's brilliant if you haven't. In it, Julia Cameron speaks of shadow artists, those people who work in and around art without doing the work themselves. And in many ways, I was a shadow artist when I was running the art studio. But now I swim in the river of creativity every single day. I make photographs, I write films and books and plays, I market my business and run my life as the deepest expression of who I am as a creative. Look, I drink from the artist mug. I no longer fear that I'm a shadow artist or like I have anything to prove to anyone, and neither should you. If you've done the work to own your creative spirit and amass wisdom, you don't have to worry about becoming a shadow artist. And that's one reason why I'm creating space within the Artist Mentorship Lab for every artist to have the opportunity to be coached as well. You won't just be learning how to coach others, you'll be doing the actual work as an artist too. This is going to be such a powerful experience. I love this work. I want more people to do it and do it well. This is a terrific way to support your own art practice while you make the world a more beautiful place. And I believe that there's enough work here for all of us to prosper. So I really hope you join me in the Artist Mentorship Lab and that you use that code MENTOR or MENTOR with the number 6 so that you get an even bigger discount. Okay? I'll see you in the lab. Email me if you have any questions.